There is nothing more frustrating than watching your dog get sick, start to recover, and then slide right back into the same problem again. Maybe it is the ear infections that keep coming back. Maybe it is the red, itchy paws. Maybe it is soft stool one week, vomiting the next, and a skin flare-up right after that. You do everything a good dog parent is supposed to do. You book the vet visit, you pay for the medication, you follow the instructions, and for a little while it seems like things are finally under control. Then 1 month later, you are right back where you started, staring at your dog and wondering why this keeps happening. And that is the part that wears people down. Not just the money, although that is real. Not just the worry, although that is exhausting. It is the helpless feeling that you are always reacting after your dog gets sick, instead of building the kind of health that helps them stay stronger in the first place. Because when a dog keeps cycling through skin issues, gut issues, yeast issues, repeated inflammation, or recurring minor illness, it often means the body is not getting the support it needs at the most basic level. I am Dr. Ryan Scott, and I am a veterinarian who believes the best appointment is the one you do not need, because your dog is doing well at home. On this channel, we focus on science-based, practical ways to support your dog's health, using smart nutrition, common sense, and safe natural strategies that actually fit real life. So here is where we are going. First, I want to show you why so many dogs stay stuck in this loop of inflammation and recurring symptoms even when their owners are trying hard. Then I am going to walk you through the simplest bowl upgrades that can make the biggest difference, the few supportive foods I trust the most, and the mistakes that quietly cancel out all your good intentions. And if you care about helping your dog stay healthier for the long run, subscribe, because that is exactly what we do here. To protect a dog from recurring everyday illness, you have to stop thinking only in terms of symptoms. The skin, the ears, the gut, the immune system, and even the joints are not separate islands. They talk to each other all the time. If a dog's digestion is off, the immune system often gets louder. If the immune system gets louder, the skin may start reacting. If the skin barrier weakens, yeast and bacteria take advantage. If the body is inflamed for long enough, everything becomes easier to trigger and harder to calm down. That is why this conversation has to start with the diet your dog eats every day. Now let me be careful here, because I do not like fear-based nutrition talk. Not every kibble is bad. Not every fresh food plan is automatically good. But it is true that many dogs are eating the exact same heavily processed food every single day, year after year, with very little moisture, very little variety, and very little fresh whole food support. If that food works beautifully for your dog, wonderful. But if your dog keeps showing you signs of inflammation, digestive instability, poor coat quality, recurrent skin flares, or chronic ear trouble, then the bowl deserves a closer look. One of the biggest issues is not that dry food exists. It is that many owners assume dry food must be complete in practice just because it is complete on paper. A bag may meet nutrient standards and still leave a dog needing more support in hydration, omega-3 intake, gut diversity, and anti-inflammatory balance. Add to that a dog prone to allergies, stress, repeated antibiotic use, or a sensitive stomach, and suddenly the body has to work much harder just to stay level. That is where strategic add-ins matter, not random scraps. Not throwing 10 trendy ingredients into the bowl at once. Strategic, measured, dog-safe support. The first add-in I reach for most often is plain fermented support, especially kefir or a canine probiotic with documented strains. A dog's gut microbiome plays a major role in immune balance, stool quality, and inflammatory control. When the gut gets disrupted, whether by stress, poor tolerance, antibiotics, or chronic low-grade irritation, the ripple effects show up everywhere. A tablespoon or two of plain unsweetened kefir for a medium dog a few times a week can be a simple way to support beneficial bacteria. If dairy does not agree with your dog, skip it and use a veterinary probiotic instead. The goal is not trendiness. The goal is rebuilding a healthier gut environment. The second thing I love is plain pumpkin puree. Not pie filling, just plain pumpkin. It is simple, safe for most dogs, and extremely useful. The fiber in pumpkin can help support stool consistency, feed healthy gut bacteria, and make the digestive tract a little less reactive. That is why it can help both loose stool and mild constipation depending on the situation. For a small dog, start with 1 teaspoon. For a medium dog, 1 tablespoon. For a large dog, 1 to 2 tablespoons mixed into food. It is not glamorous, but it works. The third upgrade is omega-3 support, and this is a big one. If your dog has itchy skin, recurrent inflammation, stiffness, dull coat, or chronic irritation, Omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil or sardines can make a meaningful difference over time. They help shift the body away from a more inflammatory state and support skin barrier health, joint comfort, and immune balance. A small sardine packed in water with no added salt once or twice a week can be a great whole food option for many dogs. Fish oil is also useful, but dosing matters, quality matters, and products made for dogs are usually easier to use correctly than random human capsules. The fourth support food I like is a properly cooked egg. Eggs are rich in protein, helpful fats, and several nutrients that support skin, coat, and muscle maintenance. They are not a miracle, but they are one of the simplest whole food upgrades most owners can use. One cooked egg a few times a week for a medium or large dog is a very reasonable add-in. For smaller dogs, scale it down. I prefer cooked over raw for most households because it is safer, simpler, and easier on the average owner. The fifth one is bone broth, but only the right kind. A simple, unsalted broth made without onion or garlic can help support hydration, make meals more appealing for picky eaters, and add a little gut-friendly comfort to the bowl. It is not a substitute for balanced nutrition, but it can be a very helpful support tool, especially for older dogs, recovering dogs, or dogs who need encouragement to eat. A few tablespoons over food is enough. More is not always better. Now, if you want one anti-inflammatory add-in that gets a lot of attention, it is turmeric. And turmeric can absolutely be useful for some dogs, especially for joint discomfort or chronic inflammatory tendencies. But this is where I want to be more careful than a lot of internet advice is. You cannot assume every dog needs turmeric, and you definitely should not dump large amounts of it into the bowl. It can upset the stomach, it can interact with medications, and dogs with gallbladder issues, bleeding disorders, or certain digestive sensitivities may not tolerate it well. If you use turmeric, start tiny. Use a well-formulated dog-safe product or a very small home-prepared amount, and clear it with your veterinarian if your dog is on medication or has any chronic medical condition. And that brings me to the first major mistake owners make. Mistake number 1 is trying to fix a chronically inflamed dog by adding strong supplements on top of an unchanged routine that is still driving the problem. If your dog is getting table scraps, too many treats, inconsistent foods, poor quality chews, and then 1 spoon of healthy powder in the bowl, that powder is not going to rescue the situation. Supportive add-ins work best when they are layered onto a stable routine, not used to cancel out chaos. Mistake number 2 is introducing too much too quickly. This is one of the most common ways well-meaning owners accidentally make their dog worse. They hear about kefir, pumpkin, fish oil, turmeric, mushrooms, raw foods, broth, berries, chia, and organ meats, and they put half the kitchen into the bowl in one weekend. Then the dog gets diarrhea, gas, vomiting, or refuses the food entirely, and the owner concludes natural support does not work. The problem was never the idea, the problem was the speed. So if I were building a simple immune support bowl protocol for the average dog, this is how I would do it. First, start with the base bowl your dog already tolerates. Do not change everything at once. For the first 3 to 5 days, add only 1 gut support ingredient. Usually that means plain pumpkin or a veterinary probiotic, not both at the same time if your dog is sensitive. Watch the stool, the appetite, the energy, and the skin. Second, once the gut is stable, add 1 anti-inflammatory support. My first choice for most dogs is omega-3 support, either through fish oil made for dogs or a small plain sardine once or twice weekly, depending on the dog's size and needs. If your dog is extremely prone to itchy skin or recurrent inflammation, this step often matters more than owners realize. Third, if your dog needs extra encouragement, coat support, or a little more whole food protein, rotate in a cooked egg 2 or 3 times a week. Not every day for every dog. Just enough to add value without creating imbalance. If your dog has a history of pancreatitis or needs a carefully controlled fat intake, this is where you pause and ask your veterinarian first. Fourth, add moisture. This sounds simple, but it is underrated. Many dogs do better when meals are slightly hydrated with warm water or a little safe broth. Better hydration can support digestion, stool quality, and overall comfort, especially in dogs eating dry food. Fifth, if your dog has chronic issues and you are considering things like turmeric or medicinal mushrooms, bring your veterinarian into the conversation. Turkey tail mushroom, for example, is an area of real interest in veterinary oncology and immune support, but that does not mean every powder sold online is high quality or appropriate for every dog. If you use a mushroom product, choose one made specifically for pets by a company with actual quality control. And here is the safety line I want every owner to hear clearly. Never add onion, garlic, xylitol, grapes, raisins, heavily salted broth, flavored yogurt, or random human supplement blends to a dog's bowl. Natural does not mean safe. Dog safe and natural are not automatically the same thing. There is also one bonus trick I love because it is so simple. Use the same 2-minute observation routine every day before you change anything in the bowl. Look at the ears, look at the paws, look at the stool, smell the breath, check the belly tension. A dog usually tells you whether the plan is working before the lab work ever does. Owners who get good at reading their dog early often prevent bigger problems later. So let us pull all of this together. If you want to help your dog stay healthier and break out of the endless cycle of flare-up, medication, temporary relief, and relapse, you need to think in layers. Start with a stable food base. Support the gut first. Add anti-inflammatory omega-3s next. Use simple whole foods like pumpkin, eggs, or safe broth strategically. Go slowly. Watch the dog, not the trend. And never confuse a giant pile of supplements with a smart plan. And if you have been struggling with this, I want to say something important. You are not failing your dog. Most owners are trying very hard. They are just flooded with oversimplified advice, miracle claims, and expensive products that promise more than they deliver. Wanting your dog to feel better is not the problem. Moving too fast or trusting the wrong sources is usually the problem. Once you slow down and start building support intentionally, things often get much clearer. If this helped you, like the video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what your dog deals with most often: itchy skin, ear infections, tummy trouble, low appetite, or joint stiffness. And if you know another dog parent stuck in that exhausting cycle of better for a month, then sick again, send this to them. I'm Dr. Ryan Scott. Give your dog a smarter bowl, a calmer body, and a better chance to stay well.